is the only sport where unknown competitors turn into modern-day gladiators, where the roses rise through the concrete of deadly fists. Fighters not only become champions, they also become icons. The Unprofessional Experts podcast is committed to delivering raw, unfiltered content solely focused on the world's most unforgiving sport. So without hesitation, be sure to subscribe, like, and follow to our podcast. With that being said, God listens to our podcast, so should you. You're welcome.
Flames don't intimidate us. What do? We control the flame.
In the red corner, we have the global phenomenon, Dave O, the Destroyer. In the blue corner, we have the legendary JMC.
Welcome back, boxing fans. This is the Unprofessional Experts Podcast. KMC and Davo, you already know. Go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, tell anybody, tell everybody, man. Brand new episode coming right at you. Gotta recap, man, these amazing fights. Were they amazing? Man, that is debatable. We'll see, man. Like, follow, subscribe. Spotify, Pandora, YouTube. Just search the Unprofessional Experts Podcast and get tapped in. Because if you do not, we can throw them things in real life. How you feeling, bro?
Yeah, let's hop right into it. Let's get into it. Shout out to Riyadh season. Shout out to the whole Saudi Arabia for putting on potentially a great show. But let's talk about it. Canelo versus Saul. What we thinking about that one, man? How we feeling?
Man, Canelo did what he was supposed to do. I guess we can now call him two-time undisputed 168-pound champion. Was it competitive? I don't think so. William Saul, he utilized the ring.
But it looked like if he really wanted to engage, right? And he really wanted to use that, he actually looked like the bigger man, the more athletic man in there. And if he engaged a little bit more, threw his hands a little bit more, it looked like it could have been a better fight.
It could have, man. And I agree because I saw something that Bivol said. Bivol beat Canelo, and he was like, the way that he beat him is because he didn't fight scared. Sometimes you give guys too much respect, and maybe the bright lights are just a little bit too bright, and that might be what happened with Saul. But just being honest, nobody picked him to win, right? And so things go on as planned, and who cares about that fight, right? Nobody's gonna go back and be like, man, did you catch that Saul Canelo? It's never gonna happen. But what was interesting that did happen at the end of that fight, we had the official announcement of Canelo versus the GOAT. It is now official. And based upon what I saw with Canelo and Saul, I am now favoring Crawford's chances in that fight.
Yeah, if I'm Terrence Crawford, I'm feeling good about it too.
Absolutely.
Right? Because Canelo he looked slow.
A step slower.
He looked a step slower. Just the explosiveness and the power that we're used to seeing from Canelo just didn't look like he had that. So if I'm Now, Terrence Crawford, he's not a baby either, right? He's not necessarily a young guy, but
he's the GOAT.
He's probably the pound for pound best fighter in the world right now.
No,
right?
probably.
He's okay. He's the pound for pound best fighter in the world right now. So, if I'm Terrence Crawford, I'm definitely feeling good about this Canelo Alvarez matchup, just based off what we saw against Saul. So, yeah,
they faced off. Crawford is not the smaller guy. If anything, is almost about even. And so Crawford's going to have better skill, better fighting ability than Saul had, right? And so the question is, coming up those weight classes, what is the power difference, right? Does Canelo power make the difference? Because we have seen Crawford hurt. We haven't seen Canelo hurt, but we have seen Crawford hurt.
We've seen Crawford hurt?
Yeah, he got dropped. He got wobbled by a Gamboa.
But was he hurt though?
The mean machine dropped him. The green mean cabbage.
But and that's fair. But was he hurt though?
I'm a Crawford fan, so in my opinion, he is that guy. And so I think if anybody can rise to the occasion, hurt or not, Crawford might be able to overcome being buzzed by Canelo. So it makes it a more interesting matchup. Canelo not having his greatest showing of his career.
Yeah, and if Canelo comes into the Terrence Crawford fight, trying to just catch him with one big shot or throwing one shot at a time and not putting his hands in combinations, not cutting off the ring, it's going to be a long night for Canelo Alvarez, right? Because Terrence Crawford has just got the type of skill set, and I think he's got a chin. I mean, he's been in there with some punchers, right? He's been in there with some guys that can crack. So I think it's going to be a long night for Canelo Alvarez when he gets in there with Terrence Crawford.
I agree, and it is what it is. Get Skull up out of here. On to the next.
All right, guys. I'm here in the Bahamas, disrupting my vacation because I just have to speak on the 11 fights that I just saw with no knockouts. I mean, look, let's give credit where it's due. I think Rollies, congratulations. You came out and fought. Had a great win. I'm happy for you. Really am. You're a nice kid. Teofimo was the only one that probably came out and tried to entertain the fans with what he had to work with, And I feel bad for Turkey. I really do. He's paying all this money to the fighters, okay? To turn out, to show up and fight and give the fight fans what the fans deserve. And those are great fights. Show up. Not just dancing around like Bill Haney and Devin Haney. I mean, my gosh, he was tagged a couple of times by Ramirez and he just gets on his bicycle and just starts running for his life. Jesus. Anyway, he's done. Canelo. Jesus, Lord. Come on. You're getting paid all this money to fight against a runner who we all knew was going to run. A Cuban style. You chose him. And now you say you hate fighting runners? Well, then don't fight runners. We all know who we want to see you win against. That's Benavidez. Go up against Benavidez. Fight Benavidez. He won't run. What's wrong with that? It's a good fight. But it's sad. It really is.
Pretty much. On to the next, man. Let's talk about it. So, another fight that happened this past weekend. Rolly Romero versus Ryan Garcia. Upset.
Look, I wonder what the odds were on that one. Like, who had Rolly knocking Ryan down?
Man.
On the way to a unanimous decision. I'd have bet anything that would not have happened.
And he legit put him on his ass.
And there's a lot of questions that arise from that, right? One, was he juiced up against Devin? Was it the ashwagandha? Was it the Oscaring? Because it looked like two different Ryans. That's not the same Ryan that got in the ring with Devin Haney, right? And they want to blame inactivity. But even with inactivity, you could spar. Granted, it's not fighting, but inactivity doesn't look like that in my opinion. He looked like a completely different fighter. I wonder if Ryan was juiced up against Devin. That's my take from that. I mean, to be honest, Ryan flat out dropped the ball. And I think that's something that Turkey is realizing. He's making too many plans. He's planning ahead just a little bit too much. In a sport as unpredictable as boxing, he's always announcing the next fight. After a guy's about to get in the ring, he overlooks almost everybody with these star fighters, and you just never know what they're going to do. And so Turkey's learning the hard way, quit announcing all the plans, because that's added motivation. It might have been added motivation for Rolly to be like, okay, they think him and Devin about to do their thing, but wait a minute, I can hook too. I got my own left hook that drops people, right? And so I don't know if Turk got some bad juju on him or what, but these so-called extremely great cars, you're not delivering. You're not living up to the hype.
And on paper, I mean, this looked like a fantastic car.
On paper.
Yeah, on paper, this is an amazing car. So, it's sometimes it sucks. And yeah, so maybe he should, step back a little bit with announcing all the fights on the car. But I am glad that he announced Crawford versus Canelo.
Absolutely.
Right? I think we're all glad about that. But yeah, I agree with you. You know, he may need to slow down a little bit because these upsets like Rolly versus Garcia can happen.
He did it with Deontay. Deontay got knocked out. It was another fight. It's like the third time he's done it, and to where plans got spoiled. I think it was Joshua. He got knocked out by Dubois, and so it's like he keeps planning like, oh, we're gonna do this fight and that. When that fight, it creates this fight, and it's like, wait a minute, let it play out, and you costing people money by doing that, right? Because you probably promised Ryan such of a purse with their Devin Haney rematch, and now it's like it was Rolly versus Devin. You know, I don't know.
Because that was my next question, right? So what do you think is next for? Shout out to I mean, listen again. I'm gonna say it. I'm not the biggest Rolly Romero fan, but shout out to him for winning this fight. You know, the announcers were talking about, you know, he started when he was 16, so a little bit of a late starter. I started when I was 16. So I kind of understand that, and having that chip on your shoulder, you know, everybody telling you you're too old to do it and this and that. But he's proven a lot of people wrong. And so shout out to Rolly Romero. You know, I like what you did against Ryan Garcia, dropping him early, and you look good in the fight. You look strong. What do you think is next?
Man, let's keep Rolly going. Maybe get a Ryan rematch. Match him up with Devin.
You want to see a Ryan Garcia rematch with Rolly Romero?
I don't know, because Ryan, it was just so. It was. I don't know what happened. What happened to Ryan?
I think he really couldn't. I think he really couldn't quite get his really couldn't put his finger on Rolly. Like he couldn't like really figure it out for some reason. Yeah, maybe it was something. You know, we all know styles make fights.
That's true.
And so I just think that Ryan had trouble, you know, landing his signature left hook and really figuring out Rolly. And maybe the game plan for Rolly Romero was, you know, just that, to not give Ryan what he wanted, which is, you know, his famous left hook. So, you know, I think he really just couldn't figure out Rolly.
I mean, the difference might have been a clean fight versus a dirty one, right? There's really no telling. Me personally, I don't ever want to see Rolly fight, but he earned it, I guess. You know, give him his respect, right? I don't know. He's an interesting guy, for sure.
Yeah.
For the people, let us know, man. Did we keep the Rolly train going, or did we just skip over this and let Ryan and Devin get their rematch? Want to know what you think, man. Go ahead, drop your opinions in that comment section.
Man, speaking of Devin Haney, how we feel about his matchup?
I don't like anyone. Why would you say that? I don't like anyone. No one's like you. I don't like them. I want you.
If you wanted me, then why would you say that?
I want you. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean it. I swear. I feel so bad.
Man, Devin had PTSD from getting his ass beat by Ryan, and he didn't commit to one punch.
Oh man,
he was on his bike. Yeah. He decided, man, I'm gonna stick and move without sticking, and he got a unanimous decision.
Yeah, not too much to be said about that one. I mean, this guy was pretty much, you know, on that bicycle pedaling pretty hard, and it just, you know, wasn't a whole lot to go off there. But you know, shout out to Devin Haney. Hopefully, he can get back on track and get another solid opponent. Do you think it should be Ryan Garcia, or do you think he should move on to somebody else?
Maybe let him fight Teofimo. They were going back and forth at the build up, the pressers. I don't know. I really liked Devin prior to the Ryan Garcia fight. So now I don't know how much heart he has. He didn't prove anything to himself or anybody else with that matchup against Ramirez. And so it's still time for Devin to prove himself.
Yeah. So hopefully he's in there with a you know, a legitimate you know, fighter next time out, so we can really see what Devin looks like on his comeback after that brutal beating he took from Ryan Garcia. Speaking of Teofimo, kind of maybe a similar situation, but what are we thinking about the Teofimo fight?
Teofimo can box. Barboza was just simply like an interim mandatory kind of situation. And so it was like, hey, I might as well but fight this guy. He's next in line, right? It doesn't always happen in boxing, but that's what it's for. It's interim titles are for. And so, he outboxed Again Barboza. People thought that was going to be the best fight of the night. Might have been, but none of them were great. But in saying that, I think Teofimo, I've said it once, maybe even twice, I'll say it again. He's been riding high with the fact that he got some signature wins early in his career. And we need a signature win more recently.
Yeah, we do. We need it.
I want Jerron and his Bouts. Give me Bouts, man. Give me the best guy at 147 so we can take that over too. I'm going to feel better, stronger, faster, smarter, and I'm definitely going to be on my game even more, because I know that he's a tough competitor. I've seen him in the amateurs, and I know there'll be a great battle. I'm Dora the Explorer, and I'm looking for Bouts.
He called out Bouts after the fight.
Now, that would be a really interesting fight.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff on that one.
I've got Bouts, even though that would be the fight there to where...
You're taking Bouts against Teofimo?
I like Bouts against Teofimo. And I've been calling for Bouts to get a signature win. And so if he could beat Teofimo, that does great for his resume. Teofimo talks a lot. Man, he's a different kind of dude. He slapped Barboza, at the presser. He outboxed him. He's an interesting guy. He's a character. Their goal was to put characters on this card and hope that build-up resulted in some amazing fights. And I think they shot themselves in the foot by not having a live crowd. It was an invite-only situation in the middle of Times Square. I think fighters feed off the energy of 20,000 people wanting to see two gladiators put in work.
100%.
Versus a couple hundred people outside and they're just cameramen and maybe a couple people within the fight community. And so that's something to think about moving forward. Like Turkey, he's overdoing himself. He's trying to change the game. I got these great ideas. Let's do this and let's do that. And it's just not creating the atmosphere that you're used to. And maybe that's part of the reason why these fights were duds.
Well, I think a lot of it, I think for Riyadh's season in Turkey, a lot of it, I think right now is trial and error. They're trying some new things and they're trying to figure out maybe what works and what doesn't, in the sport of boxing. Because, the sport of boxing has been so consistent in the way that it's done things for a long time. So he's switching it up. He's doing some different things. So I'm not necessarily mad at it, but I do agree with you. I think, when you got 20,000 people screaming, it's definitely a different level of energy that you receive when you're in that ring. So I definitely agree with you on that.
Teofimo did what Teofimo was supposed to do. Devin Haney did what Devin Haney was supposed to do. Ryan Garcia did not do what Ryan Garcia was supposed to do. Canelo did what he was supposed to do. And so, Bakoli, Ajagba, however you say that guy's name, they came out in the draw, heavyweights. Man, the fall of Bakoli needs to be studied. But
yeah, that's tough.
I really liked what he did to Jared Anderson. He just has not lived up to the hype since. My boy Jaime Munguia got his lick back. He got a decision over the I'll give some respect. The French guy. Over the French guy that knocked him out.
Said over the French fry that knocked him out.
Yeah, basically. I'm not a Jaime fan. But he got his lick back. He called out Caleb Plant. He called out Berlanga. Berlanga talks shit about any and everybody. So hopefully he gets... Because he talk about fighting trash cans. He fought a guy out for a 10-year bid in his last fight. So
Munguia versus Plant. Do you think that would be a good scrap?
Or Berlanga. Either or.
But specifically Plant versus Munguia. Do you think that would be a good scrap?
It would. I got Plant winning that by decision.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see Plant kind of outboxing Munguia.
Plant's got a fight with a postal worker coming up, and him and one of the Charlos are fighting on the guy he slapped. They're fighting on the same card, but they're fighting two separate fights. I think there's another case of we're gonna build it up, let these guys win these fights. It'll fuck around be another upset. We don't lose.
Well, speaking of postal workers, we want you guys to, subscribe to the channel, and we want you guys to check out this folding chair activity we got for y'all. All right, we'll be back.
Hell yeah!
Damn, he got folded like a lawn chair.
It's over. It's over. The
refs would get in there. The refs would get in there. Way overdue.
You know, every man's got a bullet with his name on it. Michael Moore just might be the bullet. But if it,
A straight right hand by Holyfield, and down goes Moore. A 15-second barrage by Evander Holyfield. He continues to come forward, and down goes Moore.
so he did.
Could this be the end? Moore in dire trouble. 40 seconds ago, right up the gut, down he goes again. That was blocked partially, but there he goes again. Regardless.
Yes, indeed.
Look at that, right up to the chin by Holyfield. Oh, down he goes for the 5th time.
This fight's over, gentlemen. This is it.
With him against the wall.
I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over.
We are going to talk about 5 individuals who we think will be great boxers who aren't prize fighters, right? So we're talking about people who could pick up the gloves and do their thing. You ready, bro?
Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Number 1, and I think the most obvious person on this list, straight out of Michigan, I think Saginaw. And he's a dog, and he displays it every day on that court. Talk about none other than the legendary Draymond Green. How we feel?
So boxers, right? Or just overall fighters? Are we just talking about just any type of fighting, or are we just talking about boxing?
I think Draymond can glove up and give other people of his experience level a run for the money.
In boxing?
In boxing.
Okay. Because Draymond kind of reminds me of the type of dude where he could do anything. He could do boxing, he could do UFC, he could be taekwondo, he can do all of these things. He likes to kick people, punch people, elbow people, jump on people. Yeah, Draymond definitely seems like the type of dude that'll lay hands on people. So I'm in agreement with that one. Yeah, I think Draymond will do his thing straight out of Michigan. Shout out to Michigan, man. A lot of great fighters come from Michigan. I don't know what it is up there. It's cold weather. I don't know. But
Draymond is one of those great fighters out of Michigan.
Draymond could be one of those great fighters out of Michigan. So yeah, shout out to Draymond. And I mean he's a big dude. Pause. He's like 6. What is he? 6'7", 6'8", something like that.
So he would be a tall heavyweight.
Yeah, he'd be a big dude, man. Up there with the likes of Fury and all these types of guys, Deontay Wilder. So yeah, I think Draymond, he would do his thing. I'm not mad at it. I think he has a type of attitude and personality that would do well in the fight game. So yeah, I'm in agreement with that. Shout out to Draymond.
There's a literal YouTube video all about how many times he'd kick somebody.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, he would do good in the UFC or something like that, too.
And the way that he hit Jordan Poole, you know what I mean? Go check that out. I might drop it in there if I can find it. The way Jordan Poole folded up without resistance, that needs to be talked about. It absolutely glove up Draymond Green.
The way that Draymond doesn't care is what would make him a great fighter. So shout out to Draymond Green.
Absolutely. Shout out to Draymond Green. Number 2, you might not be expecting this one, but I can make a case for it. All right. So straight out of Memphis, singer, producer, and songwriter. But I think the level of ratchetness makes me believe that she can accomplish whatever she puts her mind to. And I am talking about the one and only Glorilla. How would she do in the boxing ring?
Man, this one is a little bit tougher because I don't. Yeah, she's from Memphis, and yeah, it sounds good, and she makes that type of music where you would think, right? You would think maybe she has hands, but I don't know. I really, and she. See, here's the thing: her physicality, right? She looks like a very small person, right? And it just, I don't know that if you were to glove her up, and pit her against, another young lady, maybe say like a Clarissa Shields or somebody like that. I just don't know how well Little Miss Glow would do. I don't know. I'm on the fence. I mean, shout out to Memphis, but I don't know.
It's Big Glow, by the way.
It's Big Glow. My bad. It ain't Little Miss Glow. It's Big Glow.
Look, I think Big Glow versus Baumgartner, it's a matchup. Alicia Baumgartner, right? Undisputed champion. It's a matchup. She's small in stature, but she's big in bravado. And so that changes the game. It could even be, leveling the playing field there. And, I'll admit, I listened to Glorilla's album, right? And I wanted to go into, the China shop, snatch a wig, right? I wanted to go start a fight after listening to that. And I'm a whole man, right? And so I think that Glorilla's attitude, talk about attitude, confidence out of this world, man. I just think she might hold her own. And she looks like, prior to the fame, check those pictures, she looks like she can fight.
True. That's true. She looked like she can throw down, but I don't know. It seems like she's probably got a little bit more bark than bite. That's just my opinion on Big Glow.
Ladies, hop in that comment section. Let us know how you think the one and only Glorilla does in the boxing ring. So the next individual actually supposedly has a little bit of fight experience. So this might be, a given, but not the reason why they're on this list. This individual is on this list because he is more than willing to keep shit going. He will beef with any and everybody over any and everything. It almost always seems petty. And so for the next individual on this list, somebody who I think would absolutely excel because he would have to, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. How does he hold up in the ring?
Yeah, I think 50 would do well. I'm in agreement with that. I think 50 would do his thing. He don't seem like the type of dude that back down or punk out or anything like that. So yeah, especially a younger 50. If we're going back to like the early 2000s, I mean, even still, I think he would give a lot of guys a run for their money. So yeah, I think 50 would do his thing.
Especially, you don't get shot 9 times for no reason, right? And so he keeps something going.
I think he's proven throughout the years why somebody decided they was trying to shoot him 9 times. But shout out to 50. We glad you're here, man.
Absolutely, man. He keeps something going, man. And he's willing to beef with everybody. So I just assume that he can defend himself. Really? I don't know.
Right. To have the kind of mouth he's got, it's like, yeah, you probably should be able to defend yourself. So yeah, I think 50 would have him hands.
All right. So for the next individual on this list, to be honest, he probably cannot fight. He's really too famous. He's probably never even had to throw hands in his life. But the reason he made this list is the way that he stood on business in front of the entire world. And he did that solely because somebody had his wife's name in their mouth. And so, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And he also played Muhammad Ali in a movie, so he does have the training regimen down pat.
I don't know about down pat, but
Willard Smith, how does he do?
You know what? Because yeah, man, I mean, he's got to get credit, right, for playing Ali and training for Ali, even though it's been many years ago now. He's probably but boxing is like riding a bike. You really never just forget how to do it, right? Once you've really done it. And and then the way he smacked Chris, again, somebody like that, you would think that they can defend themselves.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if Chris Rock decided he was going to fire back, right, throw a combination or two, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Will would have just stood there, right? It would have been a scrap, probably would have ensued. So, shout out to Big Willie, man. I don't know that he had the same type of tenacity somebody like a 50 Cent would have. But yeah, I don't think Mike Lowry would do that bad. I don't. I think he would. I think he would hold his own. I think Will Smith will hold his own. Shout out to the Fresh Prince.
I agree, man. When you're an actor and you get ready for a role, you study. You want to make sure you got the movements down pat, the way that they act, the way that they are, the demeanor, and so he literally has the demeanor of the greatest. And so I think even 20 years later, he just taps right back into that, and he's in full squabble mode if need be.
Potentially. Just shout out to the Fresh Prince.
All right, number 5 on this list. For no reason other than he has CTE, and I think he'll fight like he has nothing to lose. Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I think Antonio just probably gets beat up. I'm not gonna hold you. I think he's probably got a worse chance than Glorilla at doing some boxing. I don't know. I think a guy like that. But you know what though, Antonio Brown was really good at football at one point. He was really, really. I mean, he was one of the best receivers of the league, one of the best receivers in Pittsburgh Steelers history. But I don't know that football automatically translates to being able to box or defend yourself in that type of way. So I don't know. I just don't see Antonio Brown doing too well in a boxing ring. I just can't imagine it.
I really don't have any reasoning other than I just think he might. I don't know. There's something about Antonio Brown. I think he would believe in himself for sure.
Yeah, I think he would believe in himself, but I just don't know. I just can't see. I don't see it.
Maybe that confidence carries him a long way. I don't know.
Maybe. I think maybe between him and Chad Ochocinco,
that might be a matchup.
That would be a decent matchup. I mean, I'm leaning Chad, but I think that would be a decent matchup.
Former NFL guys. We got I think it was Frank Gore knocked the guy out in the ring.
Yeah, no.
Knocked out
was
AP?
it Frank? No. That was Darren Williams, I think.
Was it Darren Williams?
Yeah, I think it was Darren Williams, a former basketball player.
It was some football. I think somebody knocked somebody out. And they were a football player.
No, maybe, but I think Darren Williams knocked out Adrian Peterson.
It was another guy, played for the Jets. I forget his name right now. But man, football players, I don't know. They're big guys. They're not really fighters. But I think Antonio Brown might pull it off.
Maybe.
So I've got a couple of honorable mentions. For no reason other than he is currently dating the quote, and he was formerly married to somebody who did time for shooting somebody. And so he just needs to know how to defend himself because it only makes sense. Got a papoose. I just assume he can fight.
That's a no.
Pap can't fight?
I don't, because I think there's a reason guys like that get with the type of ladies that they get with, right?
Supposedly he knocked out Easy to Block.
Easy to Block. Yeah. You know what? I take that back. I forgot about that. So I give Pap credit, man. I give Pap credit, and obviously he likes women that can do the same thing. So you know what? Yeah. Shout out to Papoose, man. I give him that.
Pap should be on the list. And for no reason, just to throw out some unsolicited hate, I got one guy I know for a fact cannot defend himself in any scenario whatsoever, and that is the legendary Stephen A. Smith.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's because the way that he talks, you would think that, if his back was against the wall, like he would pull something out.
He absolutely got pressed.
I mean, LeBron is like 6'9", 270, bro. Like most of us, if we got pressed by LeBron, we wouldn't have anything to say.
You got to stand 10 toes down. Stephen A. did.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think if Stephen A's back was against the wall, he's like an old school guy, right? So he might do something. He might defend himself. He might pull something out his ass. I mean, we don't know. But I would hate to think that Stephen A just takes an L laying down.
LeBron also posted the footage of Stephen A. hitting the pads, and it was rough. And so there's evidence, there's documentation out there that Stephen A. is off top.
So we want to talk about a special fantasy matchup that we got for y'all today. Rolly Romero has upset the boxing world by beating Ryan Garcia, and we want to know what he would do against a living legend, straight from the Philippines, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. What's your argument? Let's talk about it because I know what you guys are thinking, but hey, you never know. This is the sport of boxing. We never know what could happen. So Rolly Romero versus Manny Pacquiao. Who what happens in that fight?
So the obvious answer is Pacquiao, right? But let's
no. Well, wait a minute. After what Rolly did to Ryan Garcia, is it an obvious answer?
Let's break it down.
Let's talk about
Let's
it.
dive into it.
Let's dive in.
Talk about somebody who has nothing to lose, right? Talk about somebody who's going to go in there with a chip on their shoulder. You talk about starting at a young age, doesn't have the amateur pedigree, but he's there and he's got a puncher's chance. Now, granted, Pacquiao is a living legend, but talk about somebody who's been knocked out brutally, right? One of the worst knockouts in the history of all fights. And we're talking about outside of boxing as well. Like, he got slept and it was bad, right? But imagine if, with Pacquiao style, the way he jumps in, hands down, imagine if he jumps into that Rolly left hook, the same hook that dropped Ryan Garcia, that same hook that's dropped multiple guys standing in front of him, underestimating him. He's goofy, I'll give you that. But he might be being that on purpose because you got to sell yourself. And I think the moment that Pacquiao jumps in with that unorthodox style, also, when you are unorthodox, you're not used to fighting other unorthodox fighters. And so that makes it an even better matchup because you're used to fighting guys with really good boxing technique when you are unorthodox. And so we got two guys who fight. They are the only ones who fight like that. And so that makes it very interesting. I'm not mad at Rolly with a knockout victory.
You know what? All jokes aside, I can see that. I can see Rolly potentially maybe catching Pacquiao on the way in or with some type of counter shot because Rolly's strong and he throws some good shots. I mean he's got some power.
It's possible.
Does he have? Do you think he has more power or just as much power as a guy like Juan Manuel Marquez who put Pacquiao to sleep?
Put him in the dirt. It's possible, right? It's far fetched, but boxing surprises us. There have been bad losses. There's been Buster Douglas over Mike Tyson type scenarios in the past. This would be one of those for sure if it were to happen. And it's not as far-fetched of a possibility because Pacquiao just announced a comeback, right? He's supposed to fight Barrios with a belt at 147. Or Mauricio Suleiman, the president of the WBC, said it. So Pacquiao actually didn't announce it. But it's floating out. It's floating around. It's out there.
That's interesting. But again, with all jokes aside, a prime Manny Pacquiao completely dog walks Rolly Romero, and it's not even close. I mean, we're talking about a prime Pac-Man against. Listen. I mean, you talk about a mismatch. I mean, you talk about a guy that has no business being in the ring with the legend that is Manny Pacquiao. There's no way in hell Rolly Romero catches Manny Pacquiao with a counter punch, surprise shot, anything like that. He gets completely dog walked and probably put to sleep in probably the first half of the fight, within the first 6 rounds at least. Yeah, and they're carrying that man out on a stretcher, similar to maybe what Pacquiao did to Ricky Hatton, similar to what he did to Oscar De La Hoya. These types of knockouts. So I'm sorry, and Rolly, hey man, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you for dropping Ryan, and you look good against Ryan, and I hope you have big fights in the future and you do your thing. But against a prime Manny Pacquiao, you're toast. So that's just my take, my opinion on that.
Not mad at it. He's got a puncher's chance. I don't know. I'm not.
Everybody's got a puncher's chance. I give you that. Everybody's got a puncher's chance, but no.
We've seen some guys get put in the dirt, man. I just think Rolly has nothing to lose, and a guy that fights with nothing to lose, I mean, it could look similar or to worse to what Isaac Cruz did to Rolly. That's probably more realistic of an outcome, but
or what Gervonta Davis did to Rolly.
Had him falling into the turnbuckle. Outside of the ropes almost. All right. I'm not mad at it. I like the matchup because too many guys aren't taking good matchups. Too many guys are scared to fight that legend. Too many guys. We were talking about, when you give a guy too much respect, what Skull did to Canelo. And I just don't think Rolly has the mentality to give a guy too much respect.
Yeah, I get that.
And so,
and that's probably what gets him put to sleep. Because you're not respecting a prime Manny Pacquiao. That's probably what gets you, what helps you go night night.
Pacquiao's an absolute legend, so it's a tough case to make. But I think Rolly can make it interesting.
You know what? He probably could for a couple of rounds. He probably could make it interesting for a couple of rounds, but Rolly's going night night.
Man, shout out Rolly, man. Ryan Garcia, get off that stuff or get back on it if it makes you a better fighter.
If it makes those entertaining fights like you did against Haney, then yeah, you might need to get back on it.
Man, you won't hear me say this too often, but boo boxing for this past weekend. But more fights will be made. I really hope that Canelo Crawford lives up to the hype. We mentioned a couple of upcoming matchups. We talked about playing Charlo. Hopefully, Bivol better BF3 is in the works. Benavidez is a champ now. And so there's a lot of fights to be made, man. Not the best weekend for boxing, but if there's a sport that can recover, it is boxing. And so we'll be looking forward to those huge matchups that get announced soon. Once again, go ahead, like, follow, subscribe, man. Tell anybody, tell everybody. Make sure to let Ryan Garcia know, man, to get back right, man, because we were anticipating something better than whoever that was. The Unprofessional Experts Podcast, it is JMC and Davo. That's all we got for you today. Until next time. Canelo did what he was supposed to do. I guess we can call it luck. God damn it. Like, what? What is happening?